Welcome to the Midweek Mailbag, your Detroit Lions midweek podcast, where we answer your Detroit Lions questions right here on the Pride of Detroit podcast feed or on youtube.com/Pride of Detroit or twitch.tv/Pride of Detroit, whatever your preference is, we're here for you. My name is Jeremy Reisman. I'm the producer over at prideofdetroit.com. You can find me at Detroit Online on socials, and with me, as always, the managing editor of Pride of Detroit, the machine, the at Erik Schlitt on Twitter. It's Erik Schlitt. Erik, we're back. We're back on the feed. We're back on the YouTubes. How we doing? And don't have yourself muted.
I am feeling pretty good. I think we see the Lions from a new perspective now that we're entering week 6 with 5 games behind us. I think perspectives are changing on the NFL, and teams' weaknesses are starting to show up, and the whole narrative on what the Lions are versus what another team is changing, and I think you're starting to see the Lions get their due.
Sounds like someone who is working on this week's power rankings and has noticed that almost everybody has them number 1.
Oh, yeah. All but one. And that one that doesn't, they're number 2.
There you go.
So, yeah.
But we're going to start this podcast of talking about how everything is wrong with the number 1 team in the NFL. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. We are going to talk about some injury stuff, the fallout from Terion Arnold's injury, some Giovanni Manu talk, and then we'll turn our discussion towards the Chiefs with a big game coming up on Sunday night. And don't worry, it's mostly, I think, going to be a positive podcast because, again, the Lions are either the best team in football or one of the best teams in football. I think they're second in point differential only to the Indianapolis Colts. And, of course, they have a share of the best record in the league at 4-1. But let's, as I alluded to before, talk about the cornerback issue at the moment. And at Lions UK NFL, Thomas asks, the Lions said we're good at edge, and so far they've been right. What are they saying and not saying about corner?
Next man up.
Yeah,
that's been the motto with coming out of Allen Park right now is we just have to move to the next guy. And you're not getting Ennis back. DJ Reed can't come back until the bye. Or after the bye, and
after the Vikings game, after the bye, yeah.
Yep. And then it's looking like Terion could be lost for the season, if not the majority of. And Dorsey also kind of fits into that same category as well. The nice part is this is a deeper secondary than we've seen in years past, so the cupboard is not empty. You have still have Amik Robertson. Who's one of your top 3 corners, even though you're missing 4 of your top 5, I'd say. He's one of your top 3. And you have 2 veterans that you made a point to work in and get experience, and you're going to be leaning on them. Additionally, the Lions run so much base defense. They only use 2 nickels a lot of the time, 2 corners a lot of the time, and that nickel spot is really only introduced specifically to offset specific teams. And so it looks bad on paper, certainly. I fully grasp that. At the same time, they still might be able to get to like manage until DJ Reed comes back, which is certainly what I think they're thinking.
Yeah, I think right now the current concern is less who's going to be out there to start over the next 2, 3, 4 games, and more, what are we doing about the depth behind those guys? Because,
yeah, sure,
the Lions can certainly manage. It's not ideal if Amik Robertson and Rock Ya-Sin are your 2 starting corners, but you could do worse than that. And I bet there are teams out there that have worse than that.
Yes.
It's just now you're at a point where an injury to anyone in that secondary, including your safeties, is scary. And that's why I think, that's why the Lions brought back a couple guys this last week, Nick Whiteside, and they brought in, what do we forget?
Trey Flowers.
Trey Flowers.
Yeah.
How can I forget that name in Detroit?
You should be familiar with that name.
So I do expect them to bring in more reinforcements. but this is what they're
Still
used
a-
to. Like this is exactly what they did last year. And the better news compared to last year is that this feels a little bit temporary, more so than permanent. They feel a little bit more protected when it comes to injuries, but at the same time, it's early in the season and more injuries could certainly happen. So it's not ideal, especially when Terion and Ennis are out for the season. We don't really know what the timeline is for someone like Khalil Dorsey, but when, Dan Campbell says he's going to miss a while, that probably means a trip to the IR.
Yep.
Don't know if it's season ending. And if it's, a trip to the IR with a wrist injury, got to think maybe there's probably a broken bone in there, and who knows how long that's going to recover. I don't know. Either way.
Yeah, it's like, 6-8 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Depending on severity.
Either way, you don't know if you're going to get Dorsey back or not, but at some point right now, the outlook is you're still going to have 2 of your top 4 back with Meek and DJ Reed. And that's the positive outlook. And beyond that, they still have guys that they trust, guys that have starting experience in Avonte Maddox and Rock Ya-Sin. And that's okay. It's not where this team wanted to be, and they did a pretty good job of protecting themselves from injury at the beginning of the year, but it didn't work out. So again, I think the concern here is less to do with how are they going to survive the next 3 weeks versus how are they going to continue to have solid depth. And does that mean making an aggressive move? Does that mean making a light move? I would imagine in the interim, it's probably going to be a small move. If something else happens, then yeah, I think you have to up the aggression a little bit. If you lose Meek, if Reed suffers a setback, if you lose Rock, like there needs to be a more solid option back there in case someone gets injured. But at this point, I don't think the Lions need to be panic shopping.
I'm with you.
One of those options that Lions UK NFL brought up was Greg Newsome, a guy that we talked about last week as a good schematic fit, but the challenge is the cost, right? He's on a 5th-year option that's worth, I think, upwards of $12 million guaranteed salary. But Thomas wanted to know if the Lions were to trade for him, is there any way that trade could involve the Browns eating some of that guaranteed salary?
They'd have to rework his contract, and if this is a 5th-year option, right?
Correct.
I don't know. Can they? That's actually a good question. Have you looked into this?
Well, I've looked into the fact, like, this is, let's take the guaranteed 5th-year option part of it out of it. Like, what you said is true. Like, there are occasions when you make a trade for someone with a salary that they eat, and the way they do that, the mechanism by which they do that is converting that salary into a signing bonus.
Right. And I just don't know, can you do it with a 5th?
That I actually don't know. I'm not 100% certain on. I would imagine the answer is probably still yes, because you're turning guaranteed money into a different form of guaranteed money. You're not taking the guaranteed money away. Yeah. But I know that the NFL made 5th-year options fully guaranteed to kind of like for the purpose of like giving that person some job security.
Correct.
So I'm not 100% on it, Thomas, but just from a mechanism standpoint, when it comes to trades, if you're looking at trade targets and you're concerned about high salaries and how the Lions would eat it, the answer is yes. In most cases, you can turn that salary into a signing bonus, and then it becomes something that sticks with the team that is trading the player away. The trick with that, though, is it drives the cost up, right? And it will, let's say Greg Newsome was normally going to cost, I don't know, a 5th round pick because it's at the trade deadline last year of his deal. Maybe they think it's a 5th round pick is fair. If they eat a portion of that salary, maybe it becomes a 4th. Maybe it becomes a 5th and a 6th. It's going to drive the price up. And that's something that I think the Lions would probably be willing to do. But I just don't know if the Browns are in this particular case. All right, next question here comes from Tim Bowers on Twitter. Asks, it seems like the Lions defense is more adaptable game to game and within the game. A lot of credit would seem to go to Shep, but is Derek Barnes the biggest key to this flexibility? Do we see the weeks? Let's start there, and then there's another question about the Chiefs.
I think most of the credit should go to Shep because Barnes has always been the guy he is, and Shep has unlocked him in a different way, right? And so, yes, Barnes is the key player, but Shep is the one that was like, I need this guy to run the defense that I run. He was the one that pounded the table to get Barnes re-signed.
Sure.
And so, yes, uh, Shep is the orchestrator of all of this, while Barnes is, the executioner on the field here, right? So, but yes, I think Shep deserves an immense amount of credit for what he's been able to do with this defense.
I do think maybe part of the underlying question here from Tim is, would we have seen this amount of flexibility last year had Derek Barnes not been injured as early in the season as he was?
That's a tough question, right? Because Barnes is the guy that he's always been. The question I think comes down to, would AG have used Barnes as aggressively as Shep is? And I don't know if that's the case.
Right.
I think AG he was what he was, and he ran the defense that he ran, and it worked good, when he had the players to work it. Whereas I think the unlocking of Barnes has a lot to do with Shep being the one that's designing and calling the plays.
Yeah, and I think they've been multiple in different ways, right?
Yes, yeah.
Whether it's playing more zone on the back end, whether it's, some of the different fronts we're seeing with, Muhammad slipping inside. Obviously, some of that has to do with Barnes too, and his ability to set the edge. But I don't know. I do think we're seeing some twists and wrinkles to this defense that I don't think we would have seen under Aaron Glenn with or without Derek Barnes. Derek Barnes is a big part of it, and I don't want to discredit that and the question being asked, because a lot of stuff they do on the defensive front are because Barnes can be on the edge, or he can be off ball, or he can be an A-gap blitzer, or he can be an edge setter.
He can disguise. He disguises intention, right?
Right. And that kind of leads into the second part of this question, which is, do we see this week's defensive game against the Chiefs being similar to how they played against the Ravens?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. It's going to be very similar. You're going to play contain against Mahomes, and you're going to have to guard against speed receivers. The tight end, believe it or not, is actually maybe a downgrade, which is kind of wild to say, because Kelsey's getting up there in age, and Andrews is still in his prime. And, the running game is certainly a downgrade, going from, Henry to Pacheco. And again, Pacheco's not a bad running back by any means, but he's not Derrick Henry, right? So but there's more speed, right? Like in Baltimore, you had they had a speed option in Flowers that they used heavily. In the KC offense, they have multiple versions of Trey Flowers, and that's where Zay Flowers, sorry. That's where it's going to get tricky, and that's the biggest difference, is that they have 3 sub 4.3 receivers. Like they have 3 receivers that can just run. And Baltimore only had 1 of those guys. And so while you're downgrading tight end and you're downgrading running back, it's not overly significant, but the speed of the receivers is what the big difference is going to be. But overall, concept's going to be very similar. Contain, stop the run, focus on Pacheco, and then maybe you get a little bit more zone mixed in. It all depends on how fast. If you can squeeze, you're going to get a lot more zone. If you can't squeeze, you're going to end up with more man. And I think it's more advantageous to get the squeeze in the zone, because that suits the Lions' weaknesses right now.
Yeah, so it suits their personnel best. And I think maybe part of this question is also like QB spy again this week. And I think the answer is
if
probably
you get the lead,
yes.
Yeah, right?
Because Mahomes can do as much damage outside of the pocket as Lamar can. The tricky part is it won't catch them by surprise this week, because there is now tape of the Lions doing that. But again, going back to kind of the Derek Barnes versatility of it, is a lot of the Lions linebackers are versatile. Some of their defensive line versatile in ways that any of those guys could be the QB spy. I know you guys would probably lose your mind if Aiden Hutchinson dropped back and played QB spy, but it wouldn't shock me if they did something like that. They've done it in the past.
Especially if Aleem comes back.
Right. Especially if Aleem comes back. No doubt about it. And so they're going to have to come up with new wrinkles to disguise that stuff because, I mean, Kelvin Shepherd said it himself. We'll play QB spy, but we're not going to just have, hey, Alex Anzalone is going to stand in the middle of the field every single play. You need to keep them guessing there. You need to keep everything varied. You need to make the same things look the same thing that we talk about on offense all the time. You need to make the same things look different, and the different things look the same. And now that there's, I don't know, a dozen snaps of them playing QB spy against the Ravens a couple weeks ago, you're going to have to change it up a little bit this week. And if there's anything we've learned about Shep so far, he's become pretty darn good at changing things up week to week and, more importantly, teaching it to the defense in a way that they can understand and execute.
Yeah, and I don't think they're going to use a spy until they get the lead. Like, yeah, that's what we saw in Baltimore. When they get into those passing situations, then you start using that fourth lineman as the kind of safety valve, right? Essentially, right?
Sure.
You're making sure Mahomes doesn't get loose. You can have a similar type of production if you against the Chiefs that you did against the Ravens, if you're hitting the way that you were hitting on defense against Baltimore, right? Like they were very efficient and they didn't make a lot of mistakes against Baltimore. And you'll need to do the same thing if you want to have the same level of success in Kansas City. So look, that's stopping Mahomes is going to be a similar game plan. When you flip the ball the other way, I think the Lions are going to have a bunch of advantages there too. And so I think it's going to be a fun game.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Next question here comes from Yankee Alyssa on Twitter. Asks, is Dan Skipper still injured? If not, do you guys feel more comfortable with him, Gio, or another left tackle starting while Decker recovers? Go ahead.
I don't know. Do you know if Skipper's injured? I know he's practicing again, right?
He has been practicing again. Mm-hmm. But something about what Dan said on Monday made me think like he's still battling through something. I don't know if he's available or not. I think it's really interesting to kind of like speculate where he would fall in the depth chart if he was fully healthy, because I'm not like he might be OT3 right now.
Is he? I mean, like, I don't know. Like they went to Jamarco Jones over him. They seem to like Manu.
Well, but they weren't ever going to cut Manu. That's like I'm with you that Jamarco was ahead of him. But I think it's very possible that Skipper is ahead of Manu, and they were just playing the roster games because they knew they couldn't get Manu back if they cut him. They knew they could probably get Skipper back if they cut him, and they did.
No, but why wouldn't you have elevated Skipper last week?
Well, so it's either that's because of the healthy,
or
yes,
maybe, or maybe he's just kind of fall. I thought Skipper was OT3.
Yeah,
and I think most of us did.
Right.
But the Lions had a completely different perspective on him. And once he got cut, it changed my view of like, where does he actually fall? Because I don't know if we know, right?
Right.
I mean, he wasn't even elevated like Cochran was elevated, right? And I thought maybe that was a whole Cincy thing and OT, 3 or whatever. But I don't know. It's very interesting. I'm sure Dan will get another question about it this week. But I mean, he said Skipper was in the mix, right? In the post-game presser, he said it could be Manu, could be Cochran, could be Skipper. But the fact that we haven't seen Skipper, it just, for me, I'm not counting on him until I see it. That's just kind of my thing. And if I haven't seen him yet, then I'm going to assume that he's either still hurt or still out of favor. So I'm not even thinking he's available at this point until I hear different.
Yeah, for me, it just felt like he's still working his way back from that injury. That's how I read the situation. And then once he's healthy enough, which could be this week, because again, like he returned to practice, I want to say either towards the end of last week, 2 weeks ago, or because I think he got the full week of practices in last week. I just don't know if he started that last week or maybe a little bit towards the end of last week. So either way, I think it's also, we should have a discussion too of whether we even think Skipper is better than Manu at this point, because
well, that's
for as much of a Folktown hero as Dan Skipper is, when the Lions were missing Taylor Decker in training camp, it was not going well no matter who was at left tackle. And granted, that guy's going up against Aiden Hutchinson a lot, Marcus Davenport a lot, but occasionally looked just as bad when Dan Skipper was out there as it did Gio.
Yeah. It's weird because when you're trying to like assess what the team thinks of players, you look at how they're being used, when they're being used, the frequency of in which they're being used, and they utilized him a lot. But he didn't get injured till after he was cut. So that's where it gets kind of wild to me, because their actions in training camp are very different than what their actions have been with him in the or in the regular season. And so it's a really unusual situation. I will say this. I agree with you. Skipper didn't look good. I've never been a big Dan Skipper stardom type of guy. I always said you can upgrade, right? But he looked good last year when he started.
He did.
Right?
He did.
And it goes against my whole perspective on him. Like, I think you can upgrade him. I think you do better than him. But like, when he had the lights on, he looked fine. Like, I thought he looked good in those 2 games. So maybe that magic's still there. But with him being on the practice squad and them not having to talk about him, it makes everything just kind of a guessing game for us.
For sure. One more question here before we head to our first break here. Jason Krolik asks, which of these will have the biggest impact on this week's game? Aleem McNeil plays 50% of the snaps, Rock Ya-Sin plays for Terion, or Giovanni Manu starts at left tackle? I mean, all 3 of those feel likely to happen too, by the way.
Mm-hmm. It's a tough question. Because go ahead.
I think mine's Manu, honestly, because listen, Aleem coming back, it will be big for this team. Mm-hmm. But the defensive front is already playing pretty darn good, particularly against the run. And I don't expect Aleem McNeil to be 100% of what we've come to expect from Aleem McNeil. So I almost feel like that's a wash. I almost feel like playing Aleem McNeil is not like right away is not so much about adding him to what they have. It's more about getting him ready for when the games actually matter. It's building that experience. It's getting his sea legs again. I think he's almost going to be a wash right away from what they have. I almost feel the same way about Rock Ya-Sin and Terion. I think it's a step down. Don't get me wrong. I thought Terion was headed in the right direction, but I think Rock Ya-Sin and Terion are a little bit more even than maybe we wanted to admit at the beginning of the season. Gio at left tackle, to me, still remains a pretty big problem. And I still haven't gone back and watched his run blocking snaps, and I imagine I'll feel a little bit better about his overall performance when I do. It just, when he's out there, he requires help. I would say at least 60% of the time he requires help. And I'm shaking in my boots a little bit during the 40% that he's not getting help. And it's nothing against him, because again, I don't think the Lions wanted him out there this early in his career. I think the game plan had everything gone according to plan, would probably be to redshirt him 2 years, much like the Jordan Mailata treatment. But it is what it is, and the Lions need to give him help, which means altering your entire offense a little bit. It means maybe not running to that side as much. It means going more 12 personnel. It means, having Brock Wright by his side for a lot of that game. And so it's a pretty big deal, and it'll be easier for him this week, not going up against Trey Hendrickson, but, George Karlaftis is not nobody.
I think he's going to draw Chris Jones.
You think he's going to... How much
does
Chris Jones play on the edge?
A lot. I don't know. He splits it. He's all over. They move him all over the field. But I think they're going to... But Chris Jones also dictates that some.
True. Sure.
He'll say, I'm taking the snap at the edge, and he'll move other people inside.
Yeah.
And so I think Chris Jones is going to try and get any one-on-ones versus Manu that he can. That would be my assumption.
You've raised my terrified level to an 8.5 to 9 out of 10. I appreciate that.
So, but that's kind of like, That's kind of why I'm siding with you in this as well. Is like I can make an argument, plus and good and bad for all of them, but Gio only let up two pressures. The problem was that those two pressures were just awful. Like they were big sacks, right?
Yes. I would argue you give him a third, but that's me being.
But I'm okay. I'm going by PFF.
Yeah,
PFF said two.
Yep.
That's why I'm citing that. But I'm a little more optimistic on Aleem than I think you are.
Okay.
Because I think he brings a different energy, even if it's situational. He's he brings an interior presence that they haven't had yet this season.
No question.
That interior pass rush, to be able to add that to an already good line, I think can level them up even more. And I think that could be a big change. But like you said, it's probably not going to be a full boatload of acclimation for him, and Gio, he's going to be, if he's out there, he's out there every snap. So it's probably Gio.
No, and I agree with everything you said about Aleem. Like, I am super excited to get him back. I think he adds that interior pass rush that they've really been missing. Like, Tyleek's been getting a little bit better at it. DJ Reader's been honestly a little bit better than that I expected. And with the amount of times they're kicking Al-Qadim Muhammad into the interior, they're getting a lot of pass rush that way too. But in terms of like early down pressure, when you don't have Al-Qadim Muhammad out there, Aleem is going to be key in that. Mm-hmm. So that if you face a team that's like, hey, we don't want to run on first down and second down against this team, you'll still have Aleem McNeil out there to pass rush. My question is just, when are we getting Aleem that we're used to seeing? Because to me, it's not even just like you're only going to limit him to a certain amount of snaps. It's just, I don't think he's going to look like himself when he first gets out there.
Well, they say he does.
It's true. Kelvin Shepard does disagree with me. That is fair. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, more about the Chiefs game, more about the Lions, more about some guys that we have and haven't seen out there, and we'll finish with some rookie talk. All that and more when we come back here on the Midweek Mailbag.
Maggie's whining. I think she wants to go be let out. So I'm gonna give me a second.
Yeah, no problem. Maggie's his daughter. He has to open the door and let his daughter run free. I'm kidding. It's a dog. Relax. If you hear some like dinging happening in the background, I apologize. I'm still talking with tech support about our podcasts, which have not been playing lately. They asked me to try it, and if any of you have been trying to listen to it, I would appreciate you guys trying right now, because I just got hey Jeremy, can you please check again if your episodes are playing? And it doesn't look like they are, so apologize for that if you're one of our podcast listeners. But if you're here, you're probably just watch them, so. Trying on all of my devices. Nope. Doesn't look like it's working. It's very frustrating. Episode temporarily unavailable. Dang it. All right, let me get to some alerts. Then we'll keep going here. Answer some of your guys' questions that are live here with us. Choco Brisket Bowl, thank you for the 59-month subscribe to the channel. Says, any news on Rodrigo? I thought that he would be back before Aleem. Did Rodriguez have a setback, or Aleem just have a speedy recovery? Well, I think it's undoubtedly. Oh, you can get to the podcast. Interesting. I wonder why you can't. I think there's no doubt in my mind that Aleem is ahead of expectations. So, in that sense, Aleem definitely did have a speedy recovery. I think most of us were expecting a November return, and maybe even after Thanksgiving. Rodriguez, I wouldn't call a setback. I mean, we don't know at this point. I was going to ask. I was definitely surprised that when they started Aleem's clock last week, that it wasn't Malcolm's clock too, because I've seen him walking around the facility quite a bit over the past month, and it makes it seem like he is ready to go. So I do expect them to. Well, first off, I expect to ask Dan about it tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday, right? But no, I would think Malcolm's coming back pretty soon here. Got this podcast on Spotify just now. Okay. Interesting. And someone else said they did too. All right, let me send a message real quick and said, I am still having trouble, but I hear some others are. But I hear it's working for some others. Boop, boop. Jeremy, what did you do with your stash? I was watching your post Stafford trade videos. Coffee, post chat. Oh God, that was a sad podcast. I remember that one. Sad for multiple reasons. Sad because it was obviously Stafford was my favorite player at the time, but also sad because it was in the middle of COVID, and the day that trade went down was one of the few times I'd left my house to socialize with people. In the past year or whatever it was. But Spotify worked for you. Awesome. Trey Hawkins to Detroit, is that a thing? Or are you suggesting? Because they are interested in him. But I don't even know he's healthy. Anyways, mustache. I bring it out every November for our charity event. A month-long charity drive for various causes throughout the years, but so it'll 3 weeks away. It'll come back. What else were we talking about? I feel like there was something else. Oh, I was gonna ask someone else was asking why where was it? Someone was asking about trolls and unhappy people, and I don't know. People are right that we probably give those people too much oxygen, but at the same time, I also want to address some of the concerns that people have about the teams, because it's okay to have concerns about the Lions, even if they are the best team in the NFL. Because, I mean, that's how other teams aren't going to look at the Lions and be like, well, they're the best team in the NFL. They have no weaknesses, right? You have to look at them and be like, okay, this is their holes. This is their holes. This is where they stink. This is where they need to be better. This is where they're good. So when people say things like, hey, what's the deal with Jameson Williams? Why is he had so much low production? I don't want to be like, oh, shut up. The Lions are 4-0, 4-1. I want to be like, well, I understand why you're concerned, but this isn't this. Oh my God. Our cornerback heads are falling off. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? I don't want to be like, no, they're fine. Everything's fine. I mean, it's not. They're going to have to do some adjustments, and I'd rather address it. So, I don't know. There are people that I should ignore that I don't always ignore, like someone who's saying, JMO got paid and now he's kicking his feet up. That guy I should have ignored. But I didn't. Would you guys ever consider doing a call-in show? Guys named we used to, actually.
We used to.
Through what originally was Locker Room.
We just kept breaking platforms.
Then became Spotify Green Room.
Live. Oh, yeah, Green Room. Yep.
And then became Spotify Live. And then became Twitter Spaces. And then we just stopped doing it because more or less we stopped getting paid in a way that would benefit from us giving up our Saturday mornings, which we decided.
My wife hated that show.
Yeah.
Because I would spend 3 hours of my Saturday mornings.
Yes. So anyways, we just decided the work-life balance wasn't worth it. It's something that we might bring back every now and then if we're feeling up to it, but it was fun. Don't get us wrong. That was something that we did enjoy doing quite a bit. It was tough. It was a tough time commitment.
Got to talk to Dan Pask in person.
That's right. That's right.
That's when Dan really became famous.
It's true.
Everybody knows Dan for his passion, but really that was the what turned the page, man. Once you got to hear his questions, it was just different level of joy. Different level of joy.
Can you keep talking to the people? I'm gonna mess around with some podcast stuff to make sure it's working because I'm just being told to log in and out, and I want to see if that actually helps.
Who becomes the new scapegoat with Terion out? That's a great question. Jeez.
Is it a good question?
It's going to happen, right?
It is going to happen.
Okay.
It's just funny to even use the word scapegoat for a 4-1 team, you know?
But that's it's wild to like. But there's fans like that in every fan base, right? Like there really is. I find it fascinating when I start studying the team that I'm playing next, or that the Lions are playing next, and I start digging into like what are once I get through the breakdown and I get through their film and I start figuring out like, okay, how can the Lions beat them, or what do I expect them to do? And I start digging into articles written by writers and perspectives of the fan base, and there's fans like that everywhere, and so you do your best to ignore them, but every once in a while you want to expose them, I guess, as well. Like you want to be like, hey, look at this guy, someone to go yell at him, because that's really the only reason that I end up responding to trolls, I get frustrated and I'm like, here. I unleash the schlitheads on them. I'm like, oh, you want attention? Here you go. And that's
so you are trying to start online bullying for someone. You are getting the horde to online bully.
Yeah.
All right. Got him to admit it.
I mean, look, if you want to say mean things to me, there are people who I know that will have very correct opinions to share with you.
But here's the thing.
Here's the thing, really quick. Off the question here,
because I think, generally speaking, this is going to sound a little bit conceited, and maybe it is. Generally speaking, both of us have enough followers that we don't even need to defend ourselves anymore. We don't even need to do that. Like, people will just come to our defense without saying anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have great fans. Like,
yeah,
the people who follow us are tremendous. I love it. Yeah, I see when people, have something to say. Anyway, who's the scapegoat? My guess is it's going to be one of the linebackers, because there's always like certain stipulations that go, like it has to be a guy that you either overpaid for in free agency or quote unquote, or that you drafted high and they're not living up to expectations. Like Jack Campbell would be a perfect candidate. The problem is Jack Campbell is killing it right now. Like he's sensational, and it's not going to be Branch. I don't think it's going to be Kirby, because he just keeps picking the ball off. So could it be Derek Barnes? Could Derek Barnes be the next guy? I don't know. It's going to happen. Somebody's going to. It's probably going to be JMO though. No. To be honest.
Oh God.
That's probably what it is. You're probably going to see a lot of people just yelling about JMO.
I think people are just going to continue to complain about Terion. Because no, honestly, like I think people like the cornerback situation, because we wasted our pick on Terion, because he's the new Jeff Okudah, because he's injured just like Jeff Okudah, and Okudah. Like that's what's going to happen. It's annoying. But it's hard to also defend the draft pick because the Lions haven't gotten what they wanted out of it. It doesn't. I don't know. I don't want to get too far into this conversation because again, like we're going too far negative when the Lions are fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Here's another question asked if I have a Lions draft crush yet. No, not yet. I'm only glossing over these guys now. I'm finding guys that fit. I haven't done anything. I haven't gotten any deep dives on guys that I'm like, ooh, he's absolutely a Lion type of guy.
I still can't get the podcast to work on my end. I guess it doesn't matter because I'm not going to listen to it. But if everyone else is saying the podcast is starting to work, I guess. We're going to answer a question on Wingo during the pod, so save that one, Kelp.
Although they didn't give up a first drive TD against the Bengals, was that a product of teams seeing something different on tape and being able to script a first drive against us based on tendencies? Or is it just a lack of intensity at the start? It seems like I assume the Lions adjust once they get into the game, almost like a boxer taking a punch before they get into the fight. I think a lot of it is scheme. Like teams, they have certain plays that they have put together and they've been able to execute early. I think the Bengals just weren't a good offensive team, and that's that's why they didn't score. But I do think some of the teams that the Lions have faced earlier either had a good game plan set up, and the Lions didn't. But I agree. I've been very impressed on how the Lions have adapted after that first kind of a punch.
James, it's Spotify, it's Apple, it's phone, it's desktop. I can't get it to work on anything, but it's fine.
So can I tell you something with my my podcast?
Sure.
We had massive issues for like the last year. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, I do.
But it was a cache issue, basically.
That's kind of what I'm thinking with me. They asked me to log out and log back in, and it still wasn't working. I turned my phone off and turned it back on. It's still not working, but I'm not that concerned about it at the moment. If it's working for everyone else, that's all that matters.
I just put on a October 2nd one, and it worked. What's the one that from 11 hours ago? The Bengals recap?
Yeah,
no, that one's not working for me. But the one prior to that works.
Spotify podcast works for you as well. All right. Well, I'm not going to sweat it too much then. Other alerts here. Nick the Greek, 58 months, says Matt Patricia's Buckeye nipples. Great. MNUFC, 54 months, says 54-month anniversary. Aleem the Dream, confirmed to play next week. There you go. 54 months. What else do you need? Chase, over on YouTube, a $5 super chat, says, if they let Alex Anzalone walk this season, would you be comfortable with sliding Derek Barnes to the will and letting Nowoski play the Sam?
Next year?
Yeah.
I've thought about it.
I think we need to see a little bit more Nowoski.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know if we will see a ton more. Like, he's getting, 10 snaps a game-ish?
I also think returning Malcolm and starting Malcolm is a realistic possibility as well.
True, which would probably push... Well, I mean, you'd have to re-sign him, right? But he's going to be a lot cheaper.
Oh, yeah.
I got the new episode on the Play on Apple Podcast. Great. Someone asked on YouTube about the ridiculous penalty on the punter, on the onside punt. My short answer is I wrote a whole article about it on Pride of Detroit. The long answer, real quick, is on an onside safety kick, the team is kicking from their own 20, and there is a landing zone-ish. There's basically a different landing zone that is 15 yards in length, in this case from the 30 to the 45-yard line, where all the lines have to be situated in there, and the kick has to land somewhere in between there, the 30 and the 45-yard line. The onside safety kick went to the 46-yard line, 1 yard behind the landing zone. And that is a personal foul penalty. Why it's a personal foul penalty, I have no idea. Why is it enforced at the kick, at the 20-yard line, I also don't quite really understand. I'm sure there's a legitimate reason for that, but when you look in the NFL rule book, it doesn't explain why the rules are. So that's what happened. There was basically a personal foul penalty because the kicker kicked it 1 yard too far. Very weird.
Yeah,
But
I don't know how to like. I suppose you could qualify it as like a. I mean, what do they call it when it falls short of the landing zone? What? It's just like a kick out of bounds, right? Like it's
illegal kick. I don't know.
Does that count? Yeah, that's what you would think would be an illegal kick. That's what right?
But I think it went down as a personal foul, unsportsmanlike conduct, which I'm like, what?
I wonder if it's like a. I wonder if it falls under that category because it's almost like you're trying to like take advantage of a team who has put themselves in a different position in order to field the kick. Therefore, it's like, oh, you were trying to take advantage of them being in a thing that's a personal foul. I don't know.
Right.
They have weird.
It almost feels like it's just trying to prevent the form of onside kick that is, let's kick it past the first wave of people into that big open area.
Yeah, because with these new rules, like you're vulnerable because you have to turn your back.
Yep.
There's not as many pass catchers. It's maybe makes them a little bit more exposed.
Okay, sorry, I'm just reading more tech support stuff. So either way, that's the rule. I do really enjoy like diving into the rule book and finding out all the logistics, and shout out also to Football Zebras who kind of gave me the base understanding of what was happening that allowed me to search into the rule book and find out all the specifics. But yeah, really, really interesting. I thought the punter had like suplexed someone during the play. That would have been awesome. 15 yards, well worth it. So yeah, that's what's going on. And yeah, with Nowoski and out, like my full expectation is that the Lions are going to let Anzalone walk. He's playing out of his mind, which that almost makes it worse, right? Because it's just like the reason the Lions aren't going to bring back Alex Anzalone isn't because they don't love him. It's because he's going to be too expensive, and they can't pay everybody. And so I think the better he plays, the more he's going to get paid, and the less likely he's going to return, which makes it kind of a catch-22, right? Because what can Alex Anzalone do this year to ensure he comes back to the Lions?
Ask for less money.
Yeah, ask for less money. I hate to even say this, but like I think the best chance of him returning is to suffer an injury like that. Like it's a terrible thing to say, and to be clear, I'm not advocating it. I don't want that to happen, but it's the only thing that would affect his ability to sign somewhere else.
He's a Jet.
He's a Jet. How satisfying was it to see Hutch get a sack on a flea flicker? Just about the most satisfying thing you can think of. If only it had resulted in like a fumble and scoop and score. The only way it could have been better. Which team will Anzalone go to, and how much will the Jets pay him? Yeah,
10 million. 10 to 12
a year.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot.
Someone had asked about Gardner-Johnson. I don't even think he fixes your most pressing need is at outside corner, and so I don't even understand what Gardner-Johnson helps you with.
You'd play him at nickel.
Right.
That's really what you'd do.
And the Lions barely play nickel, like you said. Like I don't
think
get it.
People remember that he was a bit of a distraction, and when he left, he trashed the Lions. Like
no, they remember that. They're just
okay.
They're just at a point of like desperation and panic where they're like, bygones be bygones. Bridge under the water under the bridge. Come back to us, please. No, he doesn't help out. He doesn't help. He's
There's a reason he's not with the Texans anymore.
Right. And that's the thing. You can be a headache, but if you're good at football, you'll stay where you need to be. And all you need to know is that the Eagles didn't want him. And the Eagles deal with headaches all the time. Their head coach is a headache. And if the Eagles are like, no, you're not worth it anymore, he's not worth it here.
Twice. It was when he played in New Orleans, I loved him. Like, I thought he was great.
Yeah.
It was exactly what they wanted. And then New Orleans let him go, and I was like, oh, maybe that was just a difference of, whatever, right, of perspective. And then he played well with the Eagles, and I was like, oh, man, he'd look good. And when he got signed, I was excited.
Yeah.
And then he got here, and I was like, oh, okay, you're that kind of guy. I'm starting to see why people are letting you go. He seems like he's just getting near the end of his career. Injuries are piling up with him and stuff like that. And it's just, if he should have, the fact that he didn't pan out in Houston, not a good sign.
No. Nope. Yeah, I've seen some Cam Sutton stuff too. That's no.
No.
Addison. No. Why would you trade for Addison? No.
I believe Skeet is a Vikings fan that's been throwing ideas out there.
You want to unload Addison? We did use
he has the driving issue, or had. Maybe it's maybe it's in his past, but
yeah. Well, he already got suspended for it.
Yeah.
Nothing regarding the Cam Sutton cap hit, and we're never going to hear anything about it.
Probably not, because it'll be a dead issue after this year.
Right.
And so then, if they somehow miraculously end up with more money in their bank account 1 year, well, that might give us an idea. we might fall back on that, but yeah, I think that. I don't know. Think I'm with you. I don't think we're ever going to find that out.
I did forget that they benched Addison for the first quarter because of some issue, and now it's being
wasn't
speculated.
He late? Or was that somebody else?
No, it's being speculated that he missed a practice. Or I think the coach did say he missed a practice, and now it's being speculated that he got lost in London or something. Whatever.
There was a couple.
Yeah, you think the Lions are going to trade for a guy like that?
There was another receiver that happened to this week too, that didn't show up when he was supposed to.
Lions Fanica, there is zero scenarios in which Lions trade for Sauce Gardner. They just extended him to a massive contract. It's way too costly to trade a player with that much guaranteed money still in their contract.
Yeah, I really think trades are going to be hard to come by.
Yeah.
Who's the one? I've looked up a lot of contracts. Who's the Seattle guy that everyone
Tariq
likes? Tariq, that's right.
His contract situation's fine, but he's not a man coverage corner, and he doesn't play run defense.
Yeah.
He's on the final year because he was like a third or fourth round pick? Cheap contract. That's not the issue. The issue is fit. I don't think he's a good fit.
Yeah.
Oh, was he a fifth or sixth? Yeah. Not going to happen. I do like the interest that they've shown in I keep forgetting his name. Someone had already mentioned him. Trey Hawkins, the former Giant, former 6th round pick of the Giant, who is a really good run defender, is also big and fast. Some of the coverage stuff is not where it needs to be, but he's played a ton of man in his college career. The question, though, is how healthy he is right now. Can he help the team right now? Because he got waived injured from the Giants with a hammy, and then waived from their IR, which means he got an injury settlement. But Aaron Wilson reported yesterday that the Lions are among 5 teams that are interested in him. I think that one makes a lot of sense. Both from a short, like that is a guy that could be a long-term fixture too. Nothing on Hassanin lately, no. What are you looking up there, buddy? You got a very inquisitive face going.
I'm just trying to do the math in my head.
For who? For what?
Woolen, just to look.
Oh, okay.
His contract's still $5 million. That's a lot, but you got to prorate a quarter of that out of the way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
true.
And I wonder if they're going to end up playing more zone, and if they play more zone. But yeah, I do wonder. I do think if he's not tackling, that's going to be an issue.
Yeah. Any other questions before we jump back into the show? I can scroll up and see if any of y'all got something else. Any chance Cochran gets a nod at left tackle over Manu? It's very, very hard for us to say.
Let's put it this way. Cincy's offensive line was terrible, and he had a hard time cracking that last year. So I would say I would.
Where was he last year?
Cincy.
Oh, right.
So I would lean no. Like, he played a couple of games for them because of injury, but like, I really think they're going to lean into Manu if they have to, if Decker's not ready.
Yeah, it's really tough for us to tell what they think of him because, one, we haven't asked them. 2, during practice, we don't even get to see what order they're repping in anymore. And if we did, we wouldn't be able to report it either. So I think I mentioned this somewhere. I think in the Pride of Detroit comment section. I once got in a small amount of trouble for doing that because it was like right after training camp where that's all we were doing every day at training camp is this guy's repping here, this guy's repping there, this guy's repping there. And then early in the season, I want to say it's when Decker had his early ankle injury last year or the year before. I was like, oh, well, so-and-so is repping at left guard for Taylor Decker at practice. And I immediately got a phone call from the line saying, like, hey, you need to delete that. You can't say that. That doesn't follow our in-season policy rules. And so even if I had seen anything about who's repping where in practice, which, to be clear, generally we don't even see that. We get to see about the first 5 to 10 minutes, which consists of them warming up, them doing individual drills, and that's it. So we don't know who's repping where. And again, if we did, we wouldn't be able to tell you. Which line controls the game against the Chiefs?
Sorry, which
Lions
running back?
Yeah.
Oh, Gibbs is going to give him nightmares. Like, Montgomery's going to be able to punch him in the mouth like he always does, and I think Gap's going to work well against them. Just off of my live viewing, I haven't done a
deep dive,
a full study on them, yeah, but they seem like they're a little bit vulnerable up the middle. The edges away from Chris Jones are a little bit vulnerable, but they seem to be getting gashed mostly up the middle, and so typically that is more Montgomery, but I think the speed Gibbs' speed is going to be an issue for Kansas City because I don't think they have, outside of Chris Jones, I'm not as scared of their interior, and so I expect them to come out and go heavy Gibbs, and but I mean I think that's going to be their approach most weeks, right? Heavy Gibbs, and then just counter with Monty.
Sorry, doing more podcast stuff.
Yeah, the Decker stuff is, you got to see what happens this week, I guess. I was a bit, it does seem like maybe the Bengals, resting him for the Bengals game was maybe we can rest him against the Bengals because we feel okay about it type of thing. Or maybe it was like Dan said, a diminishing return that they needed to like stop the decline like immediately. So, and if that is really the case, he might benefit from 2 more games in a bye week and then come out of the bye ready to go. But I don't know. It's going to be let's see how they react this game.
I don't have a strong feeling one way or another whether Decker's going to play before the bye or not, but I feel like he either plays both games before the bye or he plays neither game before the bye. I feel like it's more unlikely that he doesn't play this week and then does next week. But I don't know. We'll see. Nick the Greek 100-bit says, how many third-round picks could Brad theoretically trade this year? Rumor at Helen Park is that he sets third-rounders on fire as a religious ritual.
How many of this year's third-rounders can he trade? None.
He doesn't have any this year or next year.
I mean, technically, he could start trading next year's, like 2027 third-round picks, but...
Yeah.
Yeah.
How far in the future can you go?
3? 3 drafts.
3 drafts. So
Beyond
you go
yours.
up to 2029. No, 2028. Yeah. What year is it?
No, I think he's already done 26. I think he can do 27, 28, and I think they could do 29. So 3 beyond the draft you're in, I think, is the rule.
We're answering a very unserious question.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Does Tasaka get a TD or a one-handed catch? Yes. One that is both.
I think he'll get a one-handed catch this week.
Again?
As opposed to a TD. Yeah, I think I would. I'm going to take the one-handed catch.
I did see the clip, so I fell asleep before the game ended yesterday, and then I obviously have since seen the clip of the game-winning touchdown by Trevor Lawrence. Have you seen what Chris Jones is doing on that play?
Nothing.
He is quite literally doing nothing. He's standing still for like 80% of that play. Which
I didn't watch that part. I watched Trevor Lawrence try to recreate the stumble bum, and he was so panicked when he hit the ground. He was like, "Oh, what do I do? What do I do?
It was like a horror.
How do I get up?
It was like a horror movie where a killer is chasing someone and they're trying to get into their car.
Yes. But he eventually paused. I mean, he was moving so quick, trying to like figure out which way is the best way to get up, and then once he got up, though, saw that path.
Yeah,
he got up and he said, my first instinct was just to throw the ball away, and then I saw there was a wide open gap, and he was like, well, I guess I'll run towards that.
He did also break a tackle, which was impressive.
He's a big guy.
Some defensive lineman had his arms around him. But yeah, it was the last play of the game for Chris Jones, so like there's at least a little bit of, well, I mean, he's a 300-pound guy playing his 50th snap. Yeah, of course he's going to be a little tired, but doesn't look good on tape.
Yeah.
He admitted that he panicked.
Yeah. He said he was like, oh no.
All right, I think it's time to get back into it. If we have time, I know a lot of people want to see Geo clips, so we'll if we have time, we'll do what we did last week, 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, where we'll do the second segment. We'll stop this stream. We will immediately fire up a new stream and just watch some Geo film. That's just so that we can, 1, get a separate video clip for the website. 2, we want to monetize this part of our podcast, so that we can, rightfully get YouTube residuals. Because once we put up the film, they are going to demonetize that. And we don't care about monetizing the film breakdown stuff. That's just something that you guys enjoy, that we enjoy doing. and it's okay if we don't get paid for that, if that's clear. So if you're watching on replay, there should hopefully be a separate video where we're going to do Giovanni Manu film breakdown live. If you're interested in that, go check it out. It'll probably be on prideofdetroit.com as well. So unless there's something else you guys want to watch, but I imagine that seems to be the popular thing of what to break down. Terion was going to be the other kind of like thing to break down, but I feel like there's less interest in that now for obvious reasons. Icy, so thank you for the 48 months. Let's go Lions. Are you still looking up Reek Woolen things? What's happening over there?
No. Now I'm looking up blitz rates because the Lions were blitzing at 40% of the time. They're second most in the NFL. Mm-hmm. And I just looked up where they were this week. They're all the way down to 33.
So they only blitzed the Jaguars at all?
They blitzed Cincy 11%.
Oh.
Yep. That was it. Yeah. And I didn't think they did, and I didn't think they felt like they needed to.
Right. Well, no, it speaks because I put this out on Twitter too. If you looked at Brian Branch's snaps, he played almost double the deep safety.
Yeah.
Than he has in any other game. Their strategy was very much go ahead and try to run against 6 or 7 man fronts. We don't need 8. We're going to stop your run without loading the box. We just want to make sure we don't get beat over the top by Chase and Higgins.
Your hair has a very Halloween-y hue to it.
What do you mean? It's just a little green?
A lot green.
It's my green screen.
I was pulling up my data sheet from last week, and I was like, wait a minute. That's why I wanted to see where they were.
Hold on. Now that you guys are saying it, I got to fix it, and I have to fix it by going to a full cam thing. So hold on.
Why?
Because you're making me self-conscious. That's why.
The reason I wanted to see where the Chiefs were at with their blitz rate, because they were in the top 10, and I wanted to see if they were still in the top 10 after last night, and they are. They're at 9, and the Lions are at 8. That's what threw me off. Gotcha. Was that the Lions were close to what the Chiefs are, and the Chiefs blitzed pretty fair amount last night. But
yeah, we'll look at Hutch strip sacks as well.
What's interesting is they use a lot. It's okay. There's the NFL steals from each other, right?
Sure.
And some of the Lions, some of the things the Lions do on defense, they get from I think they took directly from Spags, the defensive coordinator for the.
I mean,
it makes sense, right? He's
right.
very
Shep,
good.
Shep loves him too, right?
Right, and yeah, because he used to be his with the Giants, right? And so so he there's definitely some Spagnuolo influences in how Shep operates, and you can see him watching Casey's defense. For example, rushing 3, and when the KC ran a spy last night, they rushed 3 and they used a linebacker as the 4th defensive lineman in the middle and dropped him as a spy. It was the exact same thing that the Lions did against Jacksonville. Yep. We saw last night KC do to Jacksonville in the 2-minute warning. The 2-minute warning before the half. They ran that. You're seeing Spagnuolo run some blitzes similar to Brian Flores in Minnesota, blitzing guys and dropping into deep zones and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, and they were talking about that, about some of the new blitzes and stuff like that last night. And I was thinking, and then PFF tweets that, I think it was PFF that tweeted the thing about how Jared Goff does against the blitz. And I was like, just thinking about that in my head as I'm watching the film. And I'm like, if there's anybody who can dissect a Flores blitz, it's Goff. Like, he's the guy who's been able to really dissect what Flores is. And so the Chiefs have been able, and Spagnuolo has been able to surprise people with some of his blitzes and his unique blitzes and being creative. And there's some Flores influences, But I wonder I don't think they're going to catch Lions off guard, is what I'm saying. Like a lot of teams, you can catch them off guard. That's one of the reasons Flores does defenses so good, is he catches people off guards when you're not expecting it. And the Lions do well because they know it and they understand it. They see it twice a year, right? Like,
yep. Goff is definitely a big part of that. Frank was a huge part of it last year too. And I even asked Brunell last week. I was like, everyone we talk to, particularly Dan, all the time is just like the things he does that you guys don't even know about before a play. The things Jared Goff does before a play, you guys don't even know about. All the stuff about getting us into the right protection, getting us into the right play, all this sort of stuff. And so I asked Brunell, like, how much of that is an increased load from last year due to losing Frank? And he said, it's increased, but not as much as you think. And I don't know if that's a sign that Jared already had so much on his shoulders that losing Frank was just like, okay, he'll just do a little bit more. And how much of it is like, no, most of that is moving to Graham. And to be clear, like, they're pretty confident in Graham too. They like Graham a lot. Graham is a smart guy. Graham can do a lot of the things that Frank can do, mentally speaking. But I do wonder, like, I'm very curious how that first Vikings game is going to look, because they like you said, they have not had any problems with the Flores defense at all. Like, I don't think there's one instance where it really got to them.
The Lions, you mean specifically? Yeah.
I am wondering if that looks any different without Frank. Okay, I want to bring this up because someone mentioned it in yesterday's chat, and I read it, but I didn't talk to it out loud because I was complaining about Jared Goff's PFF grade. And apparently the PFF, they do like a live grades reveal show every Monday, and someone asked about it, and apparently the main reason is because he throws a lot of easy throws, and you can't score highly on a throw if you're just throwing easy throws. It's kind of how I got it.
What if he just makes it look easy?
But it's more like deep throws and tight coverage and things like that.
Yep, Brett, you're for making the right decision.
Brett, come in here. And by come in here, I don't mean literally join the show, but I mean, like, as a former PFF guy, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
Don't fault the guy for making the right decision.
Right. Well,
that's the hard part. That's the hard part about grading or analyzing or anything. Really,
when you are assessing quarterback play, isn't getting to the right receiver that is open, that might not be a deep shot, isn't that important too? But yeah, no,
that's when we talk about defense being so hard, right?
Right. And it's why it's why. Ooh, okay. So Brett says PFF's grading style inherently favors chaotic style of QB play. Interesting, but I don't know. I'm testing my own memory here, but it feels like someone like Tom Brady still graded very highly. Did he not? And
he's well. Everyone has an inherent bias.
Yeah.
Like the refs and Patrick Mahomes.
Stop it.
Twice in that game last night, they were like, "That's a penalty," and he was like, "No, it wasn't." And they were like, "Okay, Patrick, I'll put the flag back in my pocket. No problem. Sorry, bud."
I'm just gonna let you go off. You're wrong, but I'll let you go off.
He complains as much as the person who shall not be named, who no longer resides in the division and instead is in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Tom attacked deep more often than Goff. That's what's frustrating, though. 1 or 2 throws a game can take a QB from a 70 overall to a 90 overall. That's
Force JMO. Force the JMO.
No, don't force to JMO.
Force it. Hold
on. Adam Schefter. A second opinion on Lions cornerback Terion Arnold's injury revealed the injury is not as bad as feared, and now he's expected to return. One source described sooner than expected, quite possibly this month. What? Hold on. This month? This month? Excuse me? How does it go from... What? What?
Stupid doctors.
Oh, well, do we just throw out the first half of the podcast? What do we do now?
Oh, we're going to make corrections. Dude, could you get Decker, McNeil, Reed, Terion, Davenport all back after the bye?
He went to Demo's doctor. It's a great joke. That's a great joke, JMC Dazzle.
Wow. Nice pull.
That's how I'm
okay. I do
I'm a little concerned about this, to be quite honest.
I do change my opinion on the fact that I do think he will remain the scapegoat if he comes back in a month.
Okay, but I mean, okay, so not being a doctor, take everything I'm about to say with a grain of salt, but I'm imagining the difference in opinion is surgery versus not surgery, right? Mm-hmm. Surgery probably makes it season ending. The second opinion says, no, you don't need surgery. Give it a month's rest. That's the difference?
Probably. By the way, Pelissaro is also confirming this. He will not need shoulder surgery and is expected to return this season.
That's... Well, okay, I have to write this. Do I just update... Mm-hmm. I guess I just update the other article.
You take the other article and just input just JK.
JK.
Update JK. When I tore the ligaments in my finger, I know it's not the same, but in general, they said you can have surgery and you'll be out 8 weeks, or you can try and let it heal on its own and you might only be out 6 weeks. But the problem is that if it doesn't heal on its own in 6 weeks, then you'll have to have surgery, and that's another 8 weeks on top of that. And so, so sometimes these things are really, really difficult to like ascertain if you need it, if you don't, if you're right on the border. So,
but that's kind of scary though too, right? Like if you're right on the border.
Well, I don't know. Are
we tempting fate here?
No, but when my hand healed, like I had it in a cast, and I needed some physical therapy, but like it healed perfectly fine, and I just let mine heal organically. So that who knows what it is with his actual shoulder, right? Like, do we know if it's a cuff or if it's a, like dislocate? I mean, like I don't think a dislocation would have required surgery necessarily, but yeah, it's Whoa. Well, that's positive news.
That's wild.
They just found Dr. Nick from The Simpsons. Uncle. That's a good one. Rav. Hey, it's Dr. Nick.
Hi, everybody.
That's really what they need. We keep Dr. Nick on speed dial. Oh yeah, people are gonna hate him now. Now that he's coming back, they're just gonna keep hating. There's our answer from earlier from the who's gonna be the scapegoat. Still gonna be TA. Wait, what? The Lions Twitter doctor guy thinks the Lions' pecs may actually be getting too muscular for their tendons.
I did see that tweet.
Is that legitimate? Like, that's a legitimate,
Don't ask me. I'm not a doctor. I have no idea.
That's not somebody that's, no, but I'm saying
he did legitimately
that's not somebody.
tweet that. Yes.
Oh, he did.
Yes. I could send you the tweet if you want it.
No, that's fine. Oh man, I don't know about that. I'm going to tell you, I don't think they look like they're too muscular. Like, especially the corners.
I shouldn't say I've never seen an injury turnaround like that, but that is pretty close to unprecedented.
We've seen this before.
Sort of.
Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, the guy we were talking about.
No, but like there weren't reports that his season weren't done. With Ebron, yes. Ebron, yes, and that was bad reporting.
Yeah. Oh, if we're seeing it from multiple national guys, it's going to be an accurate report.
That's crazy. Crazy.
Jeremy.
What?
Are you done typing or not yet?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. Why?
There's a good question from Drew in here.
Okay.
He wants to know how many words you type per minute. And then he wants to know how many I type.
I haven't done a typing test in a while. Like, I think I'm somewhere around 70 words per minute.
I would say I'm around 7. No, I'm not. It's not 7. But I would say I'm much closer to 7 than I am to 70. I'm getting faster. But yes. Jeremy is he types about twice as fast as I do.
By the way, about an hour ago, a little more than an hour ago, Terion tweeted, "God is good."
Well, look at him. Should have saw it coming.
By the way, before the press conference yesterday, there were already some rumblings that Terion's injury might be super serious. And the source of that was Terion Arnold on Snapchat. And like, I have TikTok, I have Instagram. Most of those reasons are work related. I am not willing to cross over into Snapchat. I'm not going to get a Snapchat for my job. I'm sorry. I'm just not willing to do it.
I am not a hunt and peck, but I do not hold my hands in the traditional typing manner.
But I'm sorry. I'm laughing at something different. I'm laughing at a picture that is now being shared by multiple people, and I'm going to share it with you right here. Okay. There you go. Oh, you can't see it. Why can't you see it?
It didn't show up at first. It shows up.
Why isn't chat seeing it? Oh, because it's got the wrong monitor. There you go. I hate the use of AI, but this is pretty good.
I can tell you though, on my typing, almost every training camp, Jeremy and I have the conversation where I start typing and Jeremy looks at me and goes, "Oh yeah, I forgot that's how you type."
Yeah. You're not there's some other people. There's like at least one person in the Lions media room. I'm obviously not going to mention them by name who's worse. But it's literally, I think, only one.
I'm very fast, but I only use like these two fingers and sometimes this one. When I broke this one, I stopped using my pinkies like altogether, because I had to learn how to not use, because I had a cast on it, right?
Yeah.
So I had to keep the cast up like I was sipping tea when I was writing, and so yeah, it's not great. When Jeremy and I worked at opposite organizations, we were both tasked with writing
Breaking news.
news stories. I think of the 500 we probably went head to head, I beat him like twice. like, that's about it, right? Like it's just.
But here's the thing: it's not just a typing issue with you. You during a breaking news story, you want to be extremely thorough in everything you talk about. I'm more like, let's get the basics of this news story out, and I can add to it later if I want to.
Yeah. I spend too much time trying to look at it from all angles instead of just being like, this is a news story. Here's the news. Congrats. Yeah. Whereas I'm like, what does that mean? How does that change things?
That's the analysis piece. You got your news piece and you got your analysis piece. They can be separate. All right. And by the way, none of you have guessed who it is. You are all incorrect.
Dan doesn't type. Somebody said Dan Miller. Dan Miller's the voice.
Yeah.
You don't get the nickname The Voice by being a writer.
He writes down a bunch too because he needs his his pad of.
It is wild to go into the locker room after the games, and a lot of guys will sometimes write down some key points on their smaller notepads. Some write the notes on their phone. I'm a little bit more freewheeling because I'm not held to the restrictions that those guys are. Dan has full legal pads, and they are just covered in questions. Like Dan is unbelievable in his preparation. It's amazing. I wish I was that. I wish I was that thorough, I wish I was able to be as thorough as he is in those situations because he's incredible at it.
All right. I'm not going too far down this rabbit hole of outing people and they're either loud or slow typing. I'm not going to do it.
Jason Lockenfora was the worst typer I've ever heard in my whole life.
You only say
he was the worst. We're not supposed. We don't want to name names. Lockenfora typed like he typed his so violently on his computer. You might have thought he was a collector for the mob and the computer owed him money. Like he must go through a computer every year because the keys probably just like start flying off because I have never heard someone type so aggressive.
I'm not getting involved in this conversation. Don't even look at me. I'm done. I've moved on.
Well, I don't like Lockenfora, so I don't mind saying it.
I know you don't. Ice Cecil, thank you for the 48 months. Let's go Lions. Monkey, thank you for the 31 months subscribed on Twitch. Nick the Greek 100-bit says, now that Terion is coming back, can we get back to being mad at him? Sure, go for it. And then another 100 bits. Another 100 bits from Nick the Greek says, can we keep on digging through the rhetorical trash pile regarding cornerbacks? More impossible trades, more washed vets, more injured 6th rounders, please. Hey, I legitimately think John Whitaker did an incredible job with a look at the cornerback options, because I think what I really like about what John did is that he went through pretty much every type of transaction you could think of. He went through internal things, guys that were here for training camp, guys that are on other people's practice squads, vets that are available, guys on bad teams that you could trade for. It was really a very thorough and smart way to look at everything. And even when he brings up some of the hey, these like a Greg Newsome, he put it in its proper context of, yeah, that'd be a good fit, but they'd have to work some sort of finances around it because it's probably out of the Lions price range. So if you haven't seen it yet, highly recommend John's article. I don't think I've seen such a thorough take on Lions options. And he did it in a way that wasn't clickbaity, that wasn't like the Lions need to sign these 8 cornerbacks. Granted, that probably gets more clicks than something like what John wrote, but honestly, I can't speak highly enough about it. So, and honestly,
there's a lot of articles out there with headlines that have drawn the ire of the Lions fan base. So I'm glad we're not going down that rabbit hole.
100 bits from Nick the Greek says, I want more John Whitaker hard labor. He knows how to break bad news and look toward the silver lining. And he has grapefruit-sized balls. What are we doing here? Any chance Victory Sunday night streams return? I really miss those. Maybe. BYOD. I think it's unlikely. It's certainly not going to happen in the next 2 weeks because the Lions are playing on Sunday night and then Monday night. 1 p.m. games are the more likely things, and maybe it just becomes a quick 30-minute let's celebrate stream. But
the hard part has been the addition of the PODD post game podcast that you and I do.
It's
that has zapped a lot.
That's a big part of it. Back in the day, Chris could handle streams on his own, and Miko doesn't have that doesn't have the software to do that yet. That's something we're working on towards next year. So all these streams that are going on are going through my computer. So if I'm tied up to, doing something for PODD, or I'm on my way back from the stadium, we can't currently have Miko jump on that. We have discussed maybe something like a Miko and Morgan quick podcast so that you guys have something on Monday morning, like a 15-minute show on Monday morning. But at the moment, there just isn't a clean path to our post-game Sunday night streams. We know it's something that you guys want, and it's something that we want to in some form or another. We're tough. It's just a tough tie-up of resources right now. Another 100 bits from Nick the Greek. John Whitaker has more children than the rest of the POD staff combined. If he had his voice, I'd be a U.S. Senator at an Eyes Wide Shut party. Jesus. I don't even know why I read that one out loud. Morgan at 9 p.m. is straight up eye slits. Well, the problem also, too, is Morgan is a season ticket holder. So, even if you wanted to get Morgan part of a post-game show, you'd have to wait for him to get home, too. We're working on it. That's all I can say. All right. Is it finally time to jump back in? I think it is. I think I do need to record something that is like, hey, just like a thing at the very beginning of the show. Be like, hey, just so you know, first half of this podcast was recorded before we got the update on it. Terion Arnold's injury. We addressed that in the second half.
Did we even talk about Terion in the first half?
Yeah. Yeah, just a little bit.
It's been like 3 years. I feel
Not a
like,
ton, though, honestly. And honestly, I don't know how much of that changes, but anyways. So we'll jump into the second segment. We'll acknowledge that we got the news between segments, and then maybe at the very end after we're done, I'll record a quick, hey, this is Jeremy Resman here. Before we get into this week's episode, just want you to know, Terion news, blah, 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 blah. Great. Got it. Cool. Okay. All right, you guys ready? And by you guys, I mean Erik. I don't really care if the audience is ready or not.
I am always ready.
Great.
I'm just rare to go.
Okay.
There's no off switch.
Patrick K, is that where we're starting? I think that's where we're starting.
Yeah, because I was looking because we have a corner question after that. So.
I knew that would get Twitch chat riled up. Sorry. All right, here we go. Welcome back to the Midweek Mailbag here on the Pride of Detroit Twitch channel, YouTube channel, and your podcast feeds. Before we get into the second half of the show, we should acknowledge the elephant in the room, which is by now you've already heard the Terion Arnold injury update that he is avoiding surgery and could return within a month. That happened right after our first segment, so we are now living in a different world from that first segment. Apologize for all of the pre-injury doom and gloom regarding Terion Arnold in the first segment, but hopefully we've recorded some sort of disclaimer to let you guys know. I don't think it really changes all that much the conversations we were having, other than obviously I think the Lions are probably less likely to make a big move at cornerback if they could potentially expect both of their starters back this month, which seems crazy given where we were, one right after DJ Reed's injury, two right after Terion's news initially broke. But obviously that's great news, and I don't know. I think I'm still kind of digesting the news because it doesn't feel real to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just, it's very encouraging. That's why you get second opinions, because one person's opinion on something can often vary, and hopefully this is, like you said, a step in the right direction. Maybe you get both of them back, both Reed and Terion back by the Vikings game, and that would be that'd be pretty sensational.
Reed still has
after the Vikings game. With Terion, if Terion has to go on IR, that puts him even past that. You'd have to wait another game after that, but still, you're talking about second half of the season. So
yeah,
and go ahead.
I was just gonna say I do think this is going to raise some questions about whether this is the right decision for Terion. Mm-hmm. If you're putting him in more danger, putting him out there early, but
at this point, we're not doctors. We don't know, right?
Right. So. And my response would also be that I think the Lions in general play things cautiously. Not 100% of the time. This was an injury that Terion also was dealing with before the Bengals game, right? And they put him out there, and maybe that exacerbated things. I don't know the answer to all those questions, and I think it's fair to at least throw those questions out there and saying, hey, is this good for Terion long term? Because this is only his second year. You don't want to make a bad situation a chronic situation. But I personally relatively trust what the Lions do with their players and their injuries. I think Taylor Decker is a great example of that. They could have played Taylor Decker against the Bengals, but they decided not to. They are taking good care of a guy because they want him at his best in January. And so I'm confident what they do might not be the opinion of 100% of the doctors, but I'm confident they will get enough information to do what's right with Terion. All right, let's move on. Patrick K, one of our Pride of Detroit Direct subscribers, appreciate your patronage. Patrick says, I've seen a lot of Lions fans worried about a quote-unquote angry Chiefs team. Would it be correct to say that the Lions are well past the point of remotely caring about something like that, and that we should just get comfortable with the fact that Detroit and his elite tier of NFL teams being worried about a quote-unquote angry team just feels silly at this point?
Yeah, I'm with you. I was watching that game last night, and I was thinking, that exact thought came through my head. I was like, man, do you want the Chiefs to win? Because then maybe they won't be as, it won't be like as big of a letdown. They won't be as focused. No, let them lose. That dings their confidence even more. Like I get the whole like, oh, we're gonna come back. We're gonna, I'm the receiver that wants the ball. Give me, we're going to get back on track. Rah, rah, rah. That's fine. Whatever. That's just fodder. I want the team whose confidence is like, crap. we've lost 3 games now. That's more than we lost all of last year. And now we have arguably the best team in the NFL coming into our house, who the last time they were here beat us on a night where we were hanging a banner and had everything to play for. And yeah, good. Let their confidence be dinged. Lions, they took their shot right in week 1, and their confidence took a bit of a hit. But they're rolling now, man. 30 plus points a game since then, and the offense doesn't seem to be slowing down. And if I'm the Chiefs, get angry. It's not going to bother me. It's not going to bother the Lions.
I get the feeling you might know what I'm about to say.
Yeah, you're going to wet blanket the whole thing, right?
No, in a different way, though. My wet blanketing of this is I don't think the whole thing matters about, this team's more desperate. Oh, this team's more angry. Oh, this team.
Well, I also don't believe in momentum.
Right, so. Exactly. Well, that's what this is, right? This is kind of a momentum question, a little bit. Like, is this team going to come in more angry? Is this team going to come in feeling more confident, feeling less confident? Those intangibles matter a little bit, but we tend to give them a little bit too much weight. Way too much.
The Bengals,
I would say.
Bengals,
desperate team.
Really, they were
desperate team. But that's the thing. Like, you either frame it however you want, depending on how things played out. Is it the Bengals had lost all confidence and that's why the Lions ran all over them? Or, if the Bengals win that game, it's, they were desperate. They were just the hungrier team. And you just change the narrative based on the outcome. And so I don't care.
Look how offended the Browns were because of the run. You haven't seen a run offense like ours before. Oh, man.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Locker room material, right? Bulletin board material.
Right.
What did John Morton do? Ultimately, talent matters most. It's all about talent. And that's why I do agree with Patrick. Don't worry about how the other team is feeling. Don't worry about how you should worry about how they're playing. If they're playing good football, then be worried. The Kansas City Chiefs offense is playing better than they did earlier in the season. So I think it's fair to assume that they're going to be playing better offensive football than they were in week 1 and week 2. But the fact that they're angry or they're 2-3 and they'd be playing less hard if they were 3-2, I don't believe in any of that stuff. And I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters to the Lions. I don't think, generally speaking, it changes the outcome of games all that much.
I do think there is
to outcomes.
I do think there's some truth to the teams know how to win, right?
Sure.
And the Chiefs are one of those teams. Chiefs are a team who know how to win. They showed it last year. They were in so many close games, and they just found a way to win.
So they forget this offseason? Is that what happened?
It's not that they forgot, but I'm saying if we go back a couple years and we look at the Vikings and the one year that they had all of those close games where they won, there was regression next year, because it's when you're in that many tight games, like, there's a reason you're in those tight games as well. And so their confidence is what carried them. Obviously, it's a very talented team. They've been in the Super Bowl for the last 5 years, right? I'm not discounting that at all.
Yep.
They have a lot of talent, and they're a very good team that's probably better than their record. The problem is that it's not that they've forgotten how to win, but if you are a team that is the separator between you and the team across from you is the fact that you have that knowledge on how to take that next step and win. And when you aren't able to use that to get those wins, that's going to hurt your confidence. And that's the thing that I think the Chiefs should be worried about there. It's not get angry and get fired back up. It's we have to make sure we're not losing our confidence, and we have to remember that we're still a good team. And I think that's what they're going to be talking about internally.
I also think there's a way a team conducts itself in, these last minute games. Like, you look at the way the Browns played that game against the Vikings. Browns had control of that game. They don't know how to close out games. And part of that is coaching on Stefanski. Part of that is on coaching. And not, Andy Reid isn't the most aggressive coach in the world, generally more aggressive than not. But I do wonder how this whole conversation shifts next week, Because as I pointed out in my question of the day today, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are living on the edge every single week. They're 4-1. Every single one of their 4 wins involved a go-ahead score in the final minute of the game. How long can they keep up that act? Have they learned how to win, or are they due for regression?
Well, nobody knows Todd Bowles better than Dan Campbell, too.
True.
Those two guys go way back.
But the reverse of that is also true.
But
no, it's an interesting to think about. But to the original question, I am not worried about the Chiefs being more angry than they would have been had they won. Next question here comes from Honolulu, past blue, asks, what is the best way to use the practice squad? Depth to cover injuries? Ready to step in once injury hits and avoid signing free agents? Develop players for the future, guys you have no intent on elevating this year, but hope that can make the team in future years, or scout team?
yes.
D, all the above.
They use them all.
Right.
The rule change that we saw during COVID, where they allowed more veterans onto the practice squad, was really a game changer in how teams utilize the practice squad today, because they have a significant portion of the practice squad that they can use for insurance that they didn't have in years past. In years past, it used to be almost all developmental, and then you'd use some scout teams out of that. But now you have guys that are covering your depth. You have guys that are also being developed, and then you also have guys that are helping you prep for the next week. And veterans and developing players can both be utilized in a scout team fashion when you're trying to recreate what the team that you're facing is going to be doing. And so you have all of those components in today's practice squad, which, like I said, wasn't the case just 5 years ago.
I feel like 10 years ago, their veterans weren't eligible at all. Like you could not have a veteran player on your practice squad. It wasn't that long ago, right?
No, you're right. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Now it's 6.
Maybe 10. Yeah.
You can have 6 veterans, which is defined as an unlimited amount of accrued seasons, or more than 3.
Yeah. I think it was 3. Yeah, I think it was 3 veterans, 10 like in that gap, in the 5-year gap between COVID and prior. So yeah, it's certainly changed, and that's why Dan is always talking about 69 players, because they're using these guys all with purpose.
Yeah. I think the answer to your question is that you need to find a perfect balance of all those 3 things. I would say scout team is probably the least important of the 3, but that's why Malik Cunningham's on the team, right? It's I don't know how likely it is he ever gets an elevation, but he's valuable to this team. Against the Ravens, he's probably valuable this week with Patrick Mahomes on deck.
Right. Whereas a guy like Keith Cooper is a developmental guy.
Yes.
Right. So you've got a blend of everybody.
Right. And I think the answer to this question also is going to depend on where you're at as a franchise. Because early on, I would say the Lions practice squad was probably filled with the majority of developmental guys. Guys that you're just throwing the darts on like 10 to 15 of those 16 guys and saying, hopefully one of these guys can help us down the line. And hey, it turns out a couple of them actually did. Now, you probably want to fill your practice squad with at least with the maximum, I would say, of those veteran types, because you want this team to have what is basically a 59-man roster. You're 53 plus these 6 guys that can step in at any point. If you're somewhere in the middle, maybe you aren't spending all your vet squad pieces.
I would say of the Lions 16-man practice squad right now, 3 are developmental players, and I mean, I could maybe go plus or minus 1 on that.
Yeah.
The only ones that are clear developmental guys I would never expect to be called up right now, are Keith Cooper and Mason Miller, the offensive lineman.
Yeah.
Beyond that, Zach Horton, Jackson Meeks, those are developmental guys, but I also think they're guys you could call up, like they just called Jackson.
Meeks, yeah, right.
Right. And I think Horton's in the same kind of boat. Everybody else, Cochran, Skipper, Neese, like Even Hallett, and we just saw Flowers. Like these guys, these guys are all guys that are at the ready. Miles Adams, right? Like
Right.
he's at the ready. Quentin Jefferson, you're
Yep.
acclimating him to be at the ready. So it sure seems like it's designed more towards the veteran aspect with this current regime or
Right.
within this current season.
Right. And yeah, and I think again that speaks more to, hey, this team is trying to compete right now, so let's just
Yep.
use the practice squad as an extension of our 53-man roster. All right, next question here comes from Eric S. Eric with a C, by the way. Says, any insight
course.
into why Wingo saw most defensive snaps outside of Hutch in week 2, but has since been a healthy scratch?
Game plan, probably production and practice as well. They've really leaned on Lopez more since then. So you're probably seeing more production out of Lopez in practice, which is probably why he's seen more opportunities. Lopez actually saw more opportunities than Tylee Williams last week
Yeah.
which was the first time that had happened. The first month Tyleek was repping at a higher amount than he was. So yeah, I think it's just preference. They wanted somebody against the Bears that could get up the field. The emergence of Tyler Lacey, I think, also comes into play here. And so these veterans with Lacey and Lopez getting more acclimated, it's just kind of squeezed Wingo out. I don't think I've had some people ask me if Wingo's like a trade candidate now with Aleem coming back. So I don't see that being the case. He's a developmental guy who was a late day 3 pick a year ago,
Right.
and he missed a good portion of last season with an injury. Like he's still developing.
Yeah.
And so there's a game plan for him, in my opinion, and he'll get there. But he's getting
Yeah.
squeezed out by vets right now.
Yeah, Tyler Lacey was kind of going to be my primary answer to this one because obviously it took a while for Tyler Lacey to acclimate. And so in the
Yeah.
meantime, you play Wingo, who knows the system, and he's doing his own acclimation, obviously, from his injury as well. But Tyler Lacey has been playing a lot on the edge. A lot.
Yeah.
Him and
He's played more than Pat O'Connor.
Pat O'Connor is, yeah, the other one that I'm thinking of. And so, not that Wingo would be playing the edge, but the answer to that is Al-Qadim Muhammad has been playing a lot on the interior on passing downs, which is, I think, where some people thought Wingo might fit in. And they love that. And Al-Qadim Muhammad has been doing great at that. And I think a lot of people are kind of conflating what Al-Qadim Muhammad's role is because they're like, that's their answer or opposite Aiden Hutchinson. And it's like, no, that's not. Tyler Lacey is. Pat O'Connor is. Al-Qadim Muhammad is getting the majority of his reps on second and third down in the interior right now. And it's working. And it's good. And I do wonder, like, what happens now that Aleem is back? Or when Aleem McNeil gets back? What do you do then? Do you put Muhammad back on the edge? Or do you scale back Muhammad a lot and keep Tyler Lacey on the edge?
I don't think they're going to want to change their game plan too much. And so, because it's also going to be beneficial to have both Muhammad and Aleem pass rushing from the interior
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Right?
No question.
Aleem's ability to be a nose, to be a 3, to run stop, to pass rush, his ability to do all of that makes him such a valuable player, and he'll be huge, when he comes back.
At the Cam Sullivan asks, do you think this team is better than last year's from what we've seen so far? If you do think this year's team is better, how do you think they managed to translate that into postseason success, even when injuries are already on pace to be seemingly as scary as last year? Obviously, this question was also asked before the Terion news broke and then rebroke in a better way.
I do think this team is better because I think they're deeper. They have more ability to address some of these injuries that are popping up. Last year, we thought their depth was good, but when it was tested, we realized maybe it wasn't as good. I feel like as this team has been tested, they've had an answer. And I don't think that was necessarily the case last year. So, yeah, I think they're better. And how do they keep pace? I mean, they have the experience of knowing what they did last year, what worked, what didn't, and hopefully that helps them navigate through injuries just because they're inevitable. Every team
Yeah.
is going to go through them. And ideally, you get second opinions and get guys back quicker with those second opinions. And that strategy seems to be working right now.
I think it's pretty close to last year's squad. They're certainly healthier, which is helping them look better. But they were also like a lot of the stats that we're seeing right now, first, number one in DVOA, top 5 in both offense and defense, DVOA, top, EPA. That's where this team was at this point last year too. Mm-hmm. They were the best team in football. They were a team whose defense was seemingly just as good as their offense, and then that kind of hit a landslide with all the injuries and stuff. So I feel like they're pretty even towards last year's team, and if I had to point out where, I think maybe they've taken a very small step back in terms of their offense, and a lot of that stuff is offensive line related. And I think they've taken a step forward defensively. And I think a lot of that is based on being healthier up front. I think a lot of that is based on a linebacking crew that is playing their ass off right now. And, the corners are still figuring things out, and they'll have to figure things out while missing their top 2 guys for a little bit here. But overall, I think they're just very well balanced, but they were at this point last year too. So I don't think there's that much of a difference. It sounds overly simplistic, and maybe it is, but I think the only way you parlay that into postseason success is making sure the injury stuff doesn't hit you back, then too. And I agree with what you were saying about the depth. The depth does feel better in some places. I don't feel like it's great at the offensive line right now. I don't feel like it's great at safety right now, but they have protected themselves in some ways from this barrage of cornerback injuries. They have set themselves up well on the defensive line, believe it or not, to deal with missing Aleem for the first month of the season, for missing Davenport for another month of the season, for Mekhi Wingo not playing much. They're set up pretty well over there. And so you'd like to think if the injury stuff continues and maybe even hits some of the other positions, they're going to be okay. But it's just when it attacks one position in particular where it can be particularly troubling, and that's what you're seeing with cornerback now. But thankfully, it's not as bad as we thought it was an hour ago. All right, final question of the podcast comes from one of our Pride of Detroit Direct subscribers, Jeremy Z. Says 5 games in, who's doing better? Tyleik Williams, Tate Ratledge.
Ratledge. I feel like he both guys, I think, were able to turn a corner in the Ravens game. Ratledge just kicked the door down in that game. His run offense has been very, very, very good. He's also out there for every snap, whereas Tyleik is only out there about half the snaps or less, actually, less than half the snaps. Tyleik is also being asked to do a little bit more pass rushing than he probably should, because he's a better run stuffer than a pass rusher, but they don't really have an answer without Aleem. And so they've kind of asked Tyleik to try and contribute in that area. And it's a little bit outside of like what he's really, really good at. So Ratledge has really settled in. I mean, look, it also helps to be playing next to the best offensive tackle in football. Right. That certainly helps.
Right. And with Tyleik, he's playing with a great nose tackle in DJ Reader, right?
And next to Aiden, right? As well. So it's not like he's hurting either.
Yeah.
But both rookies, I think, are making steady progress forward. You're just seeing it a little bit quicker out of Tate. And I think the fact that he's out there every snap certainly is helping him get through his learning curve a little bit faster. But I think both guys are progressing in a very positive way.
Yeah, I feel pretty neck and neck here, which I know is probably an unsatisfying answer to this question, but
yes, it is.
I mean, but it's because of good news. It's because of what you just said. Like, while I thought maybe early on things weren't that encouraging, they're both making pretty big strides here, where Tyleik is not only a really good run defender, but now he's getting his hands on some balls. Now he's starting to show a little bit of juice with his pass rush. For all the bad things about not having someone like Aleem McNeil, allowing Tyleik Williams to have 30 to 40 snaps a game is great for his development, outstanding for his development. I think you're starting to see some of the chemistry stuff on the offensive line with Tate and the guys in between on his bookends. I still think there's another level that I expect out of Tate in his rookie season, and probably
his pass rush can be his pass pro can go up. Like he's still making rookie. There's still rookie stuff going on,
right?
But yeah,
but it's a crappy thing to say considering just the bad luck that the Lions have had from the 2024 draft class, but it does feel like they are on track of getting a lot more out of their first and second round picks this year than they have from last year.
Well, I'm third. Right,
and third.
They didn't have a third, and they got that. Yeah, they got a. Tesla is playing, better than a lot of those. The day 3 picks from prior. Even though Mahogany is one of those guys, right? True. And I thought he played real good last game. I feel like he's settling in as well, and that's the scary thing about this offensive line is that both guards are getting better.
Right.
I think Graham turned a corner real fast. After week 1, he came out and he was much better, and he's been playing very well. Panay is a monster. Decker's been playing above what he should with an injury. And so like this offensive line, there hasn't been like any issues in gelling after that first week, and it's all been kind of a steady increase in production and comfort. You got to get Decker back though. Obviously, you can only cover a shift from Decker to Manu for in so many ways, but by the time if the plan works out where they can get Decker healthy, and you can start bringing all of these guys back, in the couple weeks post-bye, should hopefully hopefully help the Lions make a good push for the second half of the season, and then hopefully continue that into the postseason.
All right. I think we're going to wrap things up there. This has been a little bit of a whirlwind podcast. Between the first and second segment when the Terion news injury broke. But hopefully you still enjoyed it. If you want more Pride of Detroit mailbag content, you can always come over to Pride of Detroit or Pride of Detroit's YouTube and Twitch pages where we do some in-between segment stuff. You can always just ask us questions too. Sometimes we'll answer them on Twitter, sometimes we won't. But either way, it's fun to be part of our live audience as well because we answer your questions there. And if you want some film breakdown stuff, we usually do some of that as well on Tuesday afternoon/mornings. You can look for that video over on YouTube or the Pride of Detroit website. But until next time, I'm Jeremy. That's Erik over there. Thank you all for listening. It's chaos. Be kind. Okay, now I'm going to record the thing at the top.
Oh, for the
Terion stuff.
At the very beginning? Okay.
Yeah, to just put it at the very beginning for podcast listeners. Give me a second. And we'll hang around here for our live audience too. So hang around. We'll answer maybe some more questions. Then we're going to shut off the stream, start the stream back up, and do some film review stuff. So don't leave if you want more Lions content. Give me a second. Hey, PODcast listeners, before we get started today, this is Jeremy. No, let me start again. Take two. Hey, podcast listeners, this is Jeremy Reisman. Just wanted to jump in here before the podcast starts and let you know that the Terion this is usually a lot easier. Give me one more sec. Here we go. Hey, PODcast listeners, it's Jeremy Reisman. Wanted to jump in here before the podcast starts to let you know that the first half of the Midweek Mailbag was recorded before we got the Terion Arnold injury news that it's much better than we were expecting, that he could return as soon as this month in October. So if you hear us talking about Terion Arnold like it's a season-ending injury, that is why. The injury news breaks in between segments, so we come back in the second half of the midweek mailbag and talk a little bit about the news, what it means, and what the Lions may do moving forward. So stick with us, and as always, thank you for your patronage. It's chaos. Be kind.
Recording stopped.
Okay, great. Not doing it again. Now we can hang out, though. JW Gina, thank you for... Whoa! YouTube chat just went flying in. Thank you for the 34-month subscribe to the channel. Mathis, thank you for the 30 months. Says, whoop, whoop. How now, Brown Cow? 30 months says, Deuce is expensive. Deuce expensive. Deuce red bottoms. Deuce bloody shoes. Smoke a Kim Noah. Andrew Coolnanen. The junior energy god. Come sit down upon me, Charger. Call me Petco because I got you bitch on freeze. The topic of gossip in Syosset. Thank you, Hannah Brown Cow. Thank you for continuing to use your messages for me to say ridiculous things that I don't know what I'm saying. Nick the Greek 100 bits says the Instagram baptism worked.
Yeah.
100 bits from Nick the Greek says, I don't even know what that means. He literally
Terion.
got baptism.
Yeah, literally.
is it possible that God cured Terion Arnold?
There you go. Same vein.
Do the Lions put too much on the corners in the run game, which contributes to injuries? It's been a bloodbath the entire regime. The answer is it's probably. They ask him to be more physical. I believe Terion injured his shoulder trying to tackle the Brown Quinshon Jenkins, right? Or at least that's the play that he went down on.
Oh, the original one?
Yes.
The original shoulder injury?
I think the answer is yes, but I think the Lions are willing to take that chance. It does make me wonder if like I was an NFL corner though. Would I want to play for the Lions?
Yeah, because I think most NFL corners think that they are cover corners.
Right.
And the Lions ask them to be cover corners. Right? But yeah, like if you look at their corner sizes, there's only two that are over 190 pounds. Rock and then Erik Hallett. But at the same time, Brian Branch is only 190 pounds too, and he seems just fine. So it's just kind of like how you're built. Like Kirby's 205, Daniel Thomas is 215, Thomas Harper's in that 190 range, Strickland's almost 200. So I mean your safeties are a little bit bigger, but I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's injuries are so hard to determine, right?
Yeah. By the way, Jeremy Fowler just threw in a little extra Terion update here. Says second opinion on his shoulder injury was, quote, very positive, and he hopes to avoid injured reserve.
What?
I mean, that's the only way he would return this month, though, right?
It's wild to me.
Who the hell is the first opinion guy, bro? Well, it's a matter of surgery versus not surgery, right?
Look, let's also not forget that there are a lot of doctors who cover their butts, right?
Sure.
Like they don't want to say one thing and then have it not be, so they over project, and like it's, I mean, I don't know.
With getting all of the pieces back from injury, do you think the Lions could get any trade value from the players they might have to cut? No. I don't know. Like, who are we talking about? Like, who's a guy that they're getting a lot? The thing is, I don't think they're going to cut anybody that's giving them anything right now.
You have a bunch of guys who are healthy scratches every week.
Right.
Right. And then you have a bunch of guys who play just special teams roles. And so, like, again, I don't want to name names, but if I had to go through, I could probably pick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 guys in mind that they could lose and be okay.
Yeah. And what's the combined trade value of those 5 guys?
0.
Okay. Yeah. No, because I mean, you're not like cutting Al-Qadim Muhammad. You're not cutting.
Right.
I don't even know who else. Do we want to jump to film review stuff? Are you guys done with the Q&A stuff?
Well.
Should we jump into some Giovanni Manu tape? Give me thumbs up or thumbs down, or yeses or nos. And Judd, thank you for the 19 months. Says Prime subbed again. One Pride. Hey, appreciate it. Yeah. Okay. All I need is Light Horse's opinion because he's the one that got in there first. No, give me TA. We could look at some TA stuff if you want to. All right. So here's what we're going to do. Twitch, YouTube. We are going to stop the stream here in a minute. Don't go anywhere. If you're on Twitch, you literally don't have to go anywhere. If you're on YouTube, it's going to start an entirely new stream. So I would say go back to youtube.com/Pride of Detroit and just refresh in like a minute or two. Because again, we're just trying to allow the midweek mailbag to get monetized, and as soon as we fire up some film, they're going to demonetize us. So that'll be a separate video. So just stick right here. We're going to come back. We're going to watch some Giovanni Manu tape, maybe some Terion Arnold tape, and I know some people wanted to see some Aiden Hutchinson strip sack. So we'll do all that if we can fit it in an hour here. We got literally an hour to go. So